Kenya has renewed its call for urgent reforms at the United Nations Security Council to guarantee Africa's permanent representation. Prime Cabinet Secretary and Foreign Affairs CS Musalia Mudavadi made the appeal during the 13th AU Committee of 10 ministerial meeting in Lusaka, Zambia.
During his tour in Lusaka, Zambia, the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi said the momentum for reform is growing, noting that Africa continues to face historical injustices due to its exclusion from permanent membership at the UN Security Council.
All the processes, starting from the conversation with our permanent representatives, both within the AU and the United Nations, then moving forward to the ministerial segment, we have come to a successful conclusion on what are the next steps and what we ought to do, particularly bearing in mind that this issue has been on the agenda for a long time. For 20 years now, we continue to have this conversation. And yet this year, the United Nations was celebrating its 80th anniversary, and the whole process of reform still continues to linger on. The first round, when they incorporated members to the Permanent Security Council, was at the very beginning. Then in the 60s, they made some adjustment. Africa was left out, and to this date, Africa has not had any representative within the United Nations Security Council on a permanent basis.
Mudavadi noted that the discussions were aligned with the aspiration of world leaders under the Pact of Future, which calls for a more representative, inclusive, transparent, efficient, effective, democratic, and accountable United Nations Security Council. In addition, the Prime Cabinet Secretary supported C10's unanimous decision to submit the African Union model for the reformed Security Council to the President of the 79th session of the UN General Assembly.
We have made a tremendous step towards advancing the mandate of C10, which was to promote and advocate for the Common African Position to be reflected in the UN Security Council reform. Today, the foreign ministers who have gathered here in Lusaka have adopted what is called the Freetown outcome. The Freetown outcome includes the Security Council reform, an aid memo, and a roadmap for engagement and common African language that will be used in terms of promoting the Common African Position and getting building consensus on it as the C10 was mandated.
To this end, Kenya has called for an expedited consolidation of the various processes that informed the Common African Position on the reforms of the UN Security Council and for the timely submission to the co-facilitators of the intergovernmental negotiations.
We've been given the mandate to present the African position to the co-chair of the UN Security Council reforms. That's the permanent representative of Kuwait, who will then use the African model together with all the other models that have been put forward by other groups to develop a consolidated model. So it's our hope that that will be achieved during the current session of the General Assembly, which is the 79th session. Then beyond that, once we've achieved some form of consensus on that, then we will then move to the penultimate phase.
All eyes are in Lusaka, Zambia, as discussions continue with Africa's push for Security Council reforms gaining fresh support from top diplomatic leaders. Faith Njoki, KUTV.